There was a certain upbeat mood at the end of the Vance-Walz debate when Vance simply couldn't bring himself unequivocally to say that Trump lost, proving again this combination of greedy ambition and sheer cowardice. But some people felt upbeat because they thought it was going to move the needle electorally. But there it was, the big question about democracy, American democracy being at stake, and Vance not not exactly being a friend of democracy. Well, I don't think it's moved the needle a great deal, and I think it reflects on the fact that the United States has many virtues, but it is a very, very overestimated country, both among its own people and worldwide, people's image of it. And I think one of the great areas of overestimation is the American people's adherence to the idea of liberty. And maybe this isn't unique to the United States. My son said to me something to the effect of, when people are struggling with their grocery bills, democracy takes second place. The only thing I feel is that historically, although there's always been a very strong right in the United States, that even people who are not that well off democracy managed to survive during the New Deal, during World War II. There were strong fascist movements. And I think what I'm trying to say is that even people who were deprived did not necessarily fall into the fascist trap, or the trap that's set today by so-called conservatives in the US and elsewhere, populist trap. So I do not know what it takes. I do not know what it takes. I do not know. I do feel like saying, America, can you do better than a president who talks about shithole countries? Can you do better than a former president who mocks people for disabilities? Can you do better than a former president who's made disparaging references to women's body parts? Can we do better to a former president who, as a business person, has been taken to court an infinite number of times for dubious practices and has paid infinite number of fines? Can we do a little better than this? I just don't know, and I don't know what it takes to move that political needle. And I think that the solid Trump supporters, and that's at least 30% of the country and maybe more, are just as they say, they're locked into a cult. And how do you get people out of a cult? I have no idea. I don't know. There must be maybe one event that will finally blast them back into their senses, but I don't see it coming. And I just think I think that this election shows up all the weaknesses of the American system. The idea that everything is focused on 7 states, which the results are going to be very close, and that's going to determine whether democracy survives or not. Instead of people's votes counting everywhere, the system we have, where it's 538 electors who actually elect the president, and not the popular vote, just goes to show, that's all, that it comes down to this. So it's almost like all other states don't count. I mean, you're not going to see a lot of campaigning in states outside of the big 7. And I just think it's I think it's pathetic. Another example of this that just goes beyond my ken is just happened recently. A Vietnam War veteran, gave his medal to Donald Trump and said, North Carolina rally about 48 hours ago or less, and said that he praised Trump's courage when the latter, having been shot, managed to stand up, throw his fist into the air and say, "Fight." Fair enough. But Trump mocked John McCain, who was tortured but saw that his men would get through before he did. And whatever you may think of John McCain, he certainly wasn't lacking in courage. And this draft dodging, spoiled kid stands up and says, I don't see people who are heroes who are captured. Well, he was standing in the peanut gallery. And again, I do not understand why a war veteran would give his medal to a draft dodger making fun of other war veterans. And this is just symbolic and symptomatic of what I see as just some kind of almost a mental illness among many Americans.